Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked where I climb the online series 12 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. In the last episode, we used a really fun team featuring Swampert, built by a player called Neo VGC. The team also has some really fun sets like Swords Dance, Grassy Seed, Rillaboom, as well as Black Glass's offensive Grimmsnarl. So we'll be playing a couple more matches with it today. Details for the team are in the description below if you want to try it out yourselves. And if you've not seen the last episode, we got a lot of value out of Dynamax Swampert, which was awesome to see. So I've linked that down in the description below if you have not seen it already. Before we get started, today's video is sponsored by Wealthfront. Investing can be incredibly complicated and difficult, especially if you're new to it, but Wealthfront makes it super easy to get started. They're an automated investing platform that helps you build a globally diversified portfolio of ETFs or exchange-traded funds. You may be wondering what an ETF actually is. That's a great question. You can think of them as a bucket that hold a collection of securities or stocks. They're a great way to get started with investing as they offer much more diversification than individual stocks. This way, rather than putting your eggs in one basket through an individual company or stock, an ETF allows you rather to invest in a basket of stocks to get exposure to a broader collection of companies. Investing in low-cost index funds long-term is a safer approach to investing your money compared to day trading, and Wealthfront makes it super easy to get started. Wealthfront also has multiple benefits. First of all, they're an automated investing platform, making it really easy for hands-off investors and beginners. To get started, all you have to do is answer a couple of questions to help them determine what kind of investor you are and help them understand your risk tolerance. Do keep in mind that Wealthfront is more about long-term investing, so don't worry too much about immediate volatility since time in the market is more important than timing the market. Wealthfront also uses software to help you build a portfolio that reflects your risk tolerance and interests. In addition, they use a strategy called tax loss harvesting, which can lower your overall tax bill. And finally, they offer a wide variety of financial planning tools. All it takes to get started is a minimum of $500 and a couple of minutes to sign up. Normally, there's a management fee of 0.25%, but if you use my link, wealthfront.com/cybertron to sign up, you'll get your first $5,000 managed for free. And you don't need any finance or investment knowledge to get started. I really believe in financial literacy and independence and wish I had a product like Wealthfront when I first got into investing. So thanks to them for sponsoring today's video, and check out my link in the description below. Oh my goodness, this is so cool. Pheromosa and Solgaleo, Kyogre, Urshifu, Regieleki, and Grimmsnarl. What a neat team. So I wonder if Pheromosa has... Does it get Fling? So I can see it being Fling weakness policy onto Solgaleo. Yveltal is actually really solid here. I'm actually intrigued by the idea of Grimmsnarl and Yveltal because I could fake out into Airstream. And then their Grimmsnarl also can't do anything against my Yveltal. So those two, Zacian. Rillaboom is pretty solid against anything that's not Solgaleo here. It's very good into Kyogre, obviously. Yveltal is tempting. I mean, the question is, like, what can I do with Swampert here? It's kind of cool, but I don't actually think it offers me enough to make me feel comfortable bringing it, so I'd rather go with Rillaboom. The reason why I don't love Swampert here is because my opponent's team is really fast-paced and offensive, and I think it's pretty difficult for Swampert to do very much past maybe a single yawn. And even then, like, I'm just nervous about getting hit by a Water Spout from Kyogre. You know, Solgaleo can outspeed me, and I'm not really doing that much damage with high horsepower, especially when they're Dynamaxed, and I risk activating a weakness policy on their end, so... We brought Swampert to all of the games in the previous episode where we tried out this team, so if you want to see Swampert really at its best, I would recommend checking that episode. As I mentioned, that's linked down in the description below. But let's see what our opponent has here. Kyogre and Grimm. Okay. I mean, honestly, here I'm down to just fake out Max Airstream, I think. Okay, their Drizzle goes off first. So, I mean, Kyogre being faster here is not necessarily great. I could see Kyogre maxing here. Yeah, I mean, I'm really not totally opposed to a Fake Out plus an Airstream here. The only downside is Grimm maybe getting one shot. What if I just went for Sucker Punch to, like, decrease Water Spout damage output? Because Sucker Punch actually really packs a punch here. I think I'd prefer just eliminating their Grimmsnarl. The problem is I'm not sure I actually get the knockout with this double up, depending on its EV spread. But I'm down to go for it. This could be Scarf Ogre as well. Okay, they do Dynamax Kyogre. I'm actually okay with that, though. I feel like if you're maxing Kyogre, you're probably going to target Grimm. But here's the reality, right? Like, in this position, yes, maybe you get a Geyser off into Yveltal, but I get an Airstream off. And because Yveltal is dark here, we don't have to care about Thunder Wave, Fake Tears, or Scary Face from Grimmsnarl, because Prankster attacks don't work on Dark-type Pokemon. So, I'm okay with this trade-off. Yeah, Sucker Punch here into Kyogre would not have been really valuable. And it's smart of my opponent to play towards Kyogre, because Solgaleo here struggles, obviously, against the dual Darks. So, I wish I could have shown off just how good Yveltal plus Black Glasses Grimmsnarl can be, but this is not the right match for it. Okay, either way, we get a Fake Out off there. They're going to flinch. There's Max Geyser, yep. Presumably into Grim. Okay, they target Yveltal. That is fine with me, because I can actually change the weather to Max Flare this next turn. Or to Sun with Max Flare next turn. Yeah, I don't get the KO there. It's a little unfortunate, but it's okay. Yeah, so like here I can go for Max Flare onto Grim. And then Throat Chop onto Kyogre. They could just Hailstorm me. Okay, Light Screen goes up, that's fine. I'm mainly relying on physical damage outside of Yveltal in this game. Okay, so now we change the weather. Which should allow me to survive a Geyser, but like I mentioned, they might Hailstorm me instead. Especially because they know I'm faster now. Okay, so Grimmsnarl faints. They do just go for a Geyser, so presumably into Yveltal again. I think in the Sun now. Oh, they actually target Grim, even better. Okay, awesome. So that changes the weather back, but this allows Yveltal to hang around for a little bit longer, and I get a Throat Chop. Black Glasses. Oh my gosh. Okay. I was like, I knew it was going to do a lot of damage, but I was like, it shouldn't do that much damage, right? Otherwise, I should have just been using this all of the last episode. That is still a ton of damage, though. Okay, and Aleki comes out. I have a speed boost, but it doesn't allow me to outspeed Aleki. However, I can go for a Scary Face onto it. Got Rillaboom and Zacian in the back. Their last Pokemon presumably should be Solgaleo. So Rillaboom's really solid here. I could Scary Face Regieleki. I'm not going to really KO them here. Okay. I'm down for Max Darkness into Aleki and Scary Face here. It's just that Aleki could be Focus Sashed, but... Ooh, Aleki actually protects. Okay. That is a very good Protect. Max Darkness will get a little bit of damage through the Protect, and then Rillaboom now can just Grassy Glide either for a knockout, which is nice. So I still don't mind my position too much. Yeah, it's so much damage with Max Darkness still. Like, the only play I could have done to get around this was maybe doubling up onto Kyogre, but I'm fine, like, forcing a Protect out of Aleki here. Okay, Geyser, presumably into Yveltal, but then the thing is I can Sucker Punch. Okay, they do target Grim, actually. Okay, that works for me. I mean, having this faster Yveltal is just so nice. Like, that's why that Airstream was such a big deal earlier. So, now we can go out into Rillaboom. The main thing with Rillaboom here is, like, Aleki could obviously pivot out into the Solgaleo right now. So I think what I'm going to do here is actually Grassy Glide and Dark Pulse that slot, because it covers for every option other than Aleki opting for a double Protect here. If Aleki stays in, Glide just KOs you, Dark Pulse gets redirected into Kyogre. Maybe that's enough to KO. They do have Light Screen up, so I'm not super confident on it KOing actually, but they are at -1 special defense. It's kind of close. Yeah, and if Aleki switches out into Solgaleo, then Solgaleo just faints to this double up. Well, actually, it might survive because of Light Screen, I guess. Oh, they actually just ended up forfeiting. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I felt pretty good about my position there. I didn't think it was necessarily a guaranteed win yet, especially because they could have actually opted for the double Protect option there with Aleki, which that could have actually been pretty scary. So then the question to ask is, since my play covers for everything but double Protect, like, is it worth trying to play around a potential double Protect there? Because I could also just, like, glide into Aleki and Dark Pulse or Oblivion Wing into the Kyogre slot. Maybe Oblivion Wing is acceptable there if I don't think Dark Pulse is going to KO thanks to Light Screen being up, because then I heal back a little bit, and then Kyogre shouldn't KO either of my Pokemon from that angle. But I think the key thing in this matchup was the Yveltal just getting that speed boost. And yeah, the Grimmsnarl with Black Glasses did so much damage into Kyogre. Certainly wasn't expecting that, but you know, yesterday was all about Swampert, and I definitely wanted to show off some of the other techs on this team, so glad to show off like Grimmsnarl and how much damage it can do. Like, yes, that was a crit, but even if you don't count the crit, like that would still be, you know, like 40%-ish onto a Dynamax Kyogre, which is always appreciated. So yeah, let's keep things going. Next match here, we're up against rank 33, and that is such a cool team. Wow. Tyranitar, I wouldn't be surprised if it were on Nerve, but, you know, weather control in general in this format. This is so cool. Like, I keep saying how, like, Dialga is kind of an underexplored restricted Pokemon, and the problem with Dialga and Zacian normally is that it's really weak into Charizard, which is one of the most common Pokemon right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if Tornadus here is Rain Dance and Tyranitar could be on Nerf. I don't know if that actually makes a ton of sense, but just something to keep in mind here. So, very cool stuff. I am intrigued by Swampert here. Swampert's quite good into everything, can even be a Dynamax option. It's just the Rillaboom I have to worry about, as per usual. Tornadus, Zacian, Tornadus, Dialga are both pretty scary leads in my opinion. Dialga just really packs a punch here, doesn't it? Okay, I'm kind of down for a Lucky Swampert, because we could be cheeky, and if they lead Dialga plus Tornadus, I could just Screech into Max Quake turn 1. I don't think Rillaboom's super good here. Like, Grassy Glide's just very subpar against most of my opponent's Pokemon. Like, they have so many resistances to it. And Dark isn't that valuable here either as a typing from Grimmsnarl. Now, Grimm does have value because of Scary Face, but honestly, this is just such a cool team. I'm just excited to see. Because, like, first of all, you know, it features a slightly unconventional restricted pair. Also, my opponent's really high ranked as well, right? So, like, I assume they've been using this team and had good success with it. Either way, it's, yeah, just really interesting. It is Tornadus Dialga, so, yep, that's the lead I was talking about. Honestly, here, I think I'm down to go for Screech into Max Quake turn 1. I guess the problem is they could just Max Wormwind me. The only question is to Screech into Max Quake KO, and is that trade even worth it for me? I think if we get it off, it is worth it, so I'm down for it. Screech, Dynamax, and Quick. Now, I could click Yawn here with Swampert, but Tornadus does occasionally carry Taunt, right? And so if I like go for Thunderbolt and Yawn turn 1, it's not great. So I definitely can take a Max Wormwind. The question is, does Max Quake get the KO onto Dialga in return? I'm honestly not sure. Like, yeah, I just don't have great, like, base reference material here. So let's say I didn't go for this on turn 1. What else did I have at my disposal? I guess I could have just clicked Electro Web, so then I can bring in the Zacian, and then outspeed it. But the thing is, like, Zacian and Yveltal can't really one-shot the Dialga here, right? So, if anything, I actually almost feel forced to Dynamax Swampert right away. It is fun, though, that, like, half the games I played with this team, I've maxed Swampert, which I wasn't expecting when I first tried it out. Yeah, and they go for Taunt. Okay, cool. Ah, that's the downside of Screech. You can miss. And they Max Quake, too. We would have one-shot Dialga. Oh, that's so sad. Well, I say one-shot, but let's see. Maybe Dialga can actually survive it. I wouldn't expect it to, but yeah, the fact they didn't Wormwind or Steel Spike there just makes me feel sadder. But, you know, that's the point, right? Like, you're not always going to be able to hit your Screeches, and so that's one thing you do have to heavily consider when using this Pokemon. Yeah, that would have been a one-hit KO. Oh, that would have been such a satisfying way to start the game. But let this game be an example of why Screech can be slightly inconsistent and why you shouldn't, like, you know, rely on it too much. That being said, we're actually not in terrible shape here anyway. Especially because Tornadus doesn't really put on any offensive pressure. Okay. I am down to just Thunderbolt here and Max Quake, I think. Oh, that's just so sad. Tailwind now. Yep. What's interesting here is, do you ignore the Yveltal? Or do you just Wormwind the Yveltal? Yeah, they Wormwind the Yveltal. You know, at least we got the Screech combo off yesterday successfully. I think, like, you know, even though the miss there is frustrating, it shows a very big reality of Screech, right? It is not a move that you can really consistently rely on. That's a pretty big deal, honestly. So I get the knockout there. I've KO'd one of their restricteds, but the problem is that their Zacian is still really scary, in my opinion, because I don't have good speed control against it anymore. Man, if I had just one-shot Dialga turn 1, then they're forced to bring out Zacian immediately, and then I can just Quake that slot. I'm gonna bring out my Zacian here first, I think. I can take a Behemoth Blade is the thing. Oh, Tyranitar comes out. Tyranitar coming out is so interesting here. Over Zacian first, huh? Okay, they are just Sandstream. Okay. I mean, do they have good damage? I'm just worried about, I don't know, like Fire Blast T-Tar here. So I almost want to just protect to play it safe here. If I Geyser here, I actually change the weather, meaning that my Yveltal will do less damage with Heat Wave in the end game, and that's actually kind of important. But that doesn't happen, but I can't hit Tornadus. I could just target Tyranitar here. I mean, I don't even think I Faint to a Fire Blast, truthfully. It could be Assurance. I don't think that would KO me either. Okay, I'm just going for Blade into Quake. Okay, Leer. It's only -1 defense, though, so even Fire Punch here I don't think would KO. Okay, and they foul play. Cool. So I guess they were trying to cover for Zacian protecting there. Maybe I should have bladed T-Tar instead, but I don't mind removing Tornadus immediately. This totally could be sashed. Oh, wow, Rocky Helmet Tornadus. This team has so many tricks. Interesting. Got Max Quake off now. Oh, that's amazing damage. I actually think that should win me the game. No, not necessarily. If T-Tar is Protect, you can just Protect this next turn. But now I can Quick Attack T-Tar and Yawn into Yveltal. Sorry, into Zacian. Either way, though, like, I'm very happy with how I played this, win or lose. Like, I think we got a great lead. We had a great turn 1 that, you know, didn't pan out because I had a miss, but put myself in a good position to succeed. And you know, misses are going to happen when you use Leer, but I thought it was a pretty good game plan here, and I don't think I had anything really solid otherwise to deal with my opponent. So, yeah, here I'm just going to go for Quick Attack onto Tyranitar, prevent it from getting another move off, and then just go for Yawn onto the Zacian slot. Nice, they don't protect T-Tar, that should be a KO. Okay, that's the beauty of Quick Attack here. Prevents them from doing anything more with that. And they're going to Sacred Sword. I don't even think this KOs. Let's go, Swampert. You are such a good Pokemon. We take those. Nice. Okay. I mean, that's just game over, right? Like, there's no way Zacian can get out of this. Super interesting game, but I think ultimately the main thing... The Max Quick on Elecki turn was really interesting, but I think my opponent might have just tunnel vision onto me being support Swampert and didn't think about the option of me Dynamaxing immediately. So, yeah, you can just Protect here. And high horsepower. Actually, I think the absolute best play would be to switch out Zacian, but, I mean, there's really no way they could ever win from this angle. Yeah, it doesn't make a difference, honestly, because Behemoth Blade still two-shots my opponent's Zacian. Yeah, so we don't really need to switch out there. Really cool team, but ultimately, that's one of the downsides of Dialga plus Zacian. Both are weak to ground, right? And so... the dual steals is so interesting because, like, yeah, Dialga Zacian is a restricted pair that actually makes a lot of sense because, like, Dialga is often the Pokemon that wants the Dynamax almost every game. It's just one of those restricteds that I think loses a lot of value outside of Dynamax. So I'm curious if, you know, players try to figure out ways to run Dialga, like, where it doesn't need to rely on Dynamaxing in every game. The thing is that it's just so much more powerful when maxed because you take these really powerful base attacks like Roar of Time, or you even run, like, Steel Beam. And Blizzard, for example, and then turn them into super powerful max moves, but then the thing is, after Dynamax, you're considerably weaker. So I think in that game, yeah, turn 1 was really, really big. Just my opponent not really focusing on the potential of Swampert Dynamaxing. Like, they could have launched the Max Wormwind into a Swampert slot, right? And that would have given me a fair amount of trouble. But they instead opted to, yeah, like Tornadus didn't get anything off, and then the Dialga essentially spent 2 turns knocking out Regieleki and then leaving Swampert untouched, which was a pleasant surprise as well. I think it was also surprising for my opponent to bring Tyranitar out first instead of Zacian, because the thing is, Tornadus T-Tar is not very strong against Zacian, right? And so it's like, even though they had Tailwind up, they couldn't really do any damage, whereas if they had just brought their Zacian out immediately, then you could just go for Leer into Behemoth Blade onto either slot. So yeah, I think Zacian coming out instead of Tyranitar earlier would have given my opponent a better edge in this game. So yeah, let's look for another. Game number 3 here, and it is Kyogre Zacian. It looks all standard. I normally expect to see Zapdos on those teams, and then there's Shedinja. Hello, hello, hello. Shedinja actually just got second at the Liverpool Regional Championships on a Kyogre rain team, so... You know, I just had an episode, what, like just over a week ago, talking about how I thought Shedinja was really underrated, and we used it on a physical Kingdra plus Kyogre, like, rain team. I mean, Shedinja's a problem for me here, right? Like, what are my ways of dealing with it? It's literally just Yveltal and Grimmsnarl. Oh, I guess a G-Max Rillaboom actually is a thing. When I used Shedinja previously, I didn't even, like, there was a game where I went up against G-Max Rillaboom. I didn't even talk about the fact that G-Max Rillaboom can ignore Shedinja. I really don't know who to drop here, because I almost feel forced to bring both Grimm and Yveltal to make sure I don't just hard lose to Shedinja. Every Pokemon here is so good, but I can't find the right 4 quickly enough, which is really stressful. Okay. Grimm, Yveltal, Zacian. All of these are good. Rillaboom would be for Electro Web. I do have some speed control here. I'm bringing Swampert. One last hoorah with it. Just because it's such a cool Pokemon, and we don't get to use it very often, so we'll see. I think this matchup, like, Shedinja actually makes such a big impact because it made Team Preview a lot harder for me. If there's no Shedinja here, I'm never bringing Grimmsnarl, but because there's Shedinja, I just, like, feel like I need anti-Shedinja as much as I can. I go with Grimm and Kyogre. Okay, familiar lead here. Yeah, I do wish Yveltal were slightly faster so that we outspeed Max Speed Ogre, because, like, I keep getting outsped by Kyogre every time I go up against it with this Yveltal. I mean, is it just the same play? I didn't bring Rillaboom this time around. Also, if I lose my Dark types in this game, that's pretty bad. Yeah, of course they're not going to lead Shedinja, especially with me having Yveltal. The problem here is if I were my opponent, I would just max Kyogre and Geyser into Grimmsnarl. Don't really have any counterplay to that. I'm just going for Fake Out Airstream here again. Okay, Grimm switches out. Into Zacian, that's a great switch. I mean, Grimm, Kyogre, Zacian, and then Shedinja being the 4th makes a lot of sense here to me. Yeah, they max Kyogre. This is going downhill really quickly. I think it was probably a bad idea to lead both of my Shedinja answers, because the thing is now, it's like, it makes it so easy for my opponent to have a win con where it's like, okay, let me just knock out these Pokemon and I just win the game. So, maybe I should have thought about that a little bit more. It would have been a better lead into it. The problem, though, is if I don't need something that can cover for Shedinja, turn 1, they can just hard switch into Shedinja. So, Shedinja's one of those Pokemon that creates so many mind games just in Team Preview alone, right? Which is why I called it an incredibly underrated Pokemon a while back. It's hard to use. I think it definitely is not, like, a beginner-friendly Pokemon. But it can really have dividends. Okay, I was not expecting that. Max Guard on Kyogre. I mean, I kind of get it, but, like, neither of these Pokemon are really threatening you with damage at all, so I'll take it. I will gladly take it. Okay, that's a really big deal. Because now I can go for Black Glass's Sucker Punch into Max Flare, which is awesome. Zacian protecting here seems fairly obvious, but I'm still just going to attack it because I don't want it to get an attack off. The problem here is if Kyogre actually has Hyper Beam to turn into Max Strike, but I don't think it will, given that you're not an Assault Vest set. You really can't fit Hyper Beam normally onto non-AB sets. Great damage from Sucker Punch. I'm really glad that we got to use Black Glass's Grimmsnarl more today. But, okay. I was not expecting to just KO Zacian the way I did, but given the lead, and given my fear of Shedinja, this has actually played out a lot better than I've anticipated it so far, so I'll take it. The other beautiful thing about the Grim Yveltal lead here, by the way, is it makes opposing Grimmsnarls really sad, because they can't go for any priority attacks with Prankster onto either of my Pokemon, because we're both Dark types, right? 362 down to 255. So, what, 107 damage? Yeah, it's really not much with the sun being up. This is exactly why, like, you want to run Max Flare Yveltal, right? It's so good into Zacian plus Kyogre, because you demolish Zacian and you can change the weather against Kyogre. Okay, so Grim comes out now. It's the last turn of Dynamax on both ends. Like I said, I do want to be careful of my opponent's Pokemon actually being Shedinja as the final one. The question here is, do I actually want to go for Max Flare? Like, I could Max Darkness, but Flare ensures that I survive for a little bit longer, but they could just Spirit Break, like Geyser and Spirit Break. I don't think Max Darkness and Throat Chop double up KOs into Kyogre. Oh, they just Sucker Punch Yveltal. Sucker Punch, okay, interesting. And the other problem with this play is that the Kyogre is still going to be faster than Grim, right? Ooh, that actually might be a KO, but they may have just targeted my Grimmsnarl instead. Although I would target Yveltal in their shoes, so let's see. Okay. Either way, Sucker Punch from Grim is interesting. Yeah, they target Yveltal. Okay, cool. I'm just really curious if Shedinja is their final Pokemon. I also have to respect Spirit Break from the Grimmsnarl on their end. Oh, now I'm not going to KO because there's no more Yveltal on the field. I mean, that's amazing damage still, right? Yeah, let's just go into Zacian here. Like with Zacian, and because I have Sucker Punch on Grim, I'm down to just Sucker Punch their Kyogre and just Behemoth Blade into Grim. I think that's pretty safe. I don't really care about speed control from their Grim right now because my Grim will just KO Kyogre with Sucker Punch. I think the main thing I'm worried about now is Ally Switch shenanigans if they switch Kyogre out into Shedinja. Grim is the one switching out though. Cool. Yeah, there's Shedinja. Maybe Kyogre protected here then? Oh, I gotta play around Ally Switch this turn. Wait, do I? Do I? Because I can, yeah, I can just Sucker Punch Kyogre and Sacred Sword. Actually, Behemoth Blade is just better. Sucker Punch Kyogre and Behemoth Blade. I guess they could switch Kyogre out here. Yeah, they Ally Switch, cool. Because it's like if you don't Ally Switch, Sucker Punch just KOs the Kyogre. If you do Ally Switch, then Behemoth Blade KOs the Kyogre. So the only way around this play was them to switch Shedinja out into Grimmsnarl. Sorry, switch Kyogre out into Grimmsnarl, and then Will-O-Wisp me. But now I've eliminated one of your main damage dealers, which is not very good for them. I can still lose this game, though, because if Grimmsnarl goes down, I just lose to Shedinja. So that's the main thing to watch out for right now. So for that reason, I'm going to conserve Grimmsnarl because that's our win condition against Shedinja. This is why I needed to bring both Grim and Yveltal in this game, right? Imagine if I had anything else other than Grimmsnarl and Yveltal faints, the game is literally just over. And like I, on my team, only have 2 ways to hit Shedinja for super effective damage. So both Pokemon had to come out in this matchup. Anyway, here I'm going to swap Grim out into Swampert and go for a Protect. I guess the only fear of Protect is if like Shedinja has Swords Dance, but whatever. Because the thing is, once we get Swampert out, we can Yawn, but they actually just forfeit. I think it was still winnable from that angle just because you have Ally Switch shenanigans, and with Ally Switch, like, it's never over because there's so many mind games that your opponent has to consider, but we'll take it. I think what was really good for us in this game is just getting so much damage on a Kyogre, getting that initial speed boost, and then being able to change the weather with Max Flare. I think the Max Guard on turn 1 on my opponent's end was a little bit unnecessary, although I can see it. I think my opponent was probably trying to cover for like Thunder Wave / Scary Face from the Grimmsnarl, or just like a fake Tears double up into Kyogre. So that's what I anticipate my opponent was trying to cover for. But in that position, like, I don't know if you really need to go for it, and I got so much value out of my turn 1, and then like being able to just knock out Zacian for free. I thought it was looking kind of rough just from the lead and just because they had Shedinja in general, but we didn't lose too many resources, so that towards the end we had enough to win. But yeah, really glad to show off the Black Glasses Grimmsnarl set here, which is so unique, but did a lot of damage throughout the games today and had a lot of value with Sucker Punch as well. So that is going to be it for today's episode. Thank you once again to Wealthfront for sponsoring today's video. Thank you to Neil VGC once again for the team. Check him out linked in the description below with the rental paste and his YouTube channel. Leave a like if you enjoy, and I'll see you all soon. All right, peace.